Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel. I'm Donita, and this is Edyta.
Hello.
And today we have a lovely guest, and her name is Molly Flanagan. Molly is a visionary leader and a young mother. For nearly 2 decades, Molly served in the United Nations, where she led and designed various leadership development programs. In parallel, Molly pursued her studies in the healing arts, from yoga to somatic meditation, Akashic Records, and many others. Eventually, she was called to leave her role within the UN and integrate her various passions for inner and outer peacemaking. Welcome, Molly. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you, Donita and Edyta. It's so great to be with you and get to share in this conversation in the beautiful and sacred space that you create on your channel. And
Beautiful.
it's so um, I'm touched to be introduced in the way that you have introduced me because it's not all the time that being a mother is like one of the things that gets centered. We talk about who we are. Hi everyone. I'm excited to share with you a little bit about my story today, and in the hopes that it's inspiring for some of you as you are on your journey. I was thinking about what is the dominant theme for me in my life right now that I wanted to share with you all. And it's really about this dance between our inner and outer lives and moving towards integration through that constant dance. Um, in my own life, it's been pretty like a loud note, let's say. Um, Today, I'm so in my inner space. That's really like, of course, I have a 2-month old and an almost 3-year old, and so I'm watching them moment to moment, and I'm in this ever unfolding presence with them. And at the same time, I'm like coming home to myself in a way that is deeper and more profound than anything that I've ever experienced before. But it hasn't always been that way. Um, I think how to share, I have to go back kind of to the beginning of this embodiment, right? So I grew up as this sort of wild child, creative, flower girl, loving nature and the arts, and the daughter of an artist and a builder. And so it was really like creativity was central in my childhood and freedom. And then I met my who would become my first husband in college, and it was like he just brought me into this other world and really on a quest to understand him is why I joined the UN. And so I went from being this sort of wild and expansive person to like, oh my goodness, now I'm inside this rigid bureaucracy. I was working with the police, if you can believe it. That was my first job in the UN. And I was there to understand my husband and his family because they were from India and very different cultural orientation from how I had grown up. And so I spent like almost 2 decades in this very confining um, place, but also a crucible of transformation. And I at first learned how to navigate and operate the bureaucracy and succeed within that paradigm. And then it became about transforming it and really from the inside out. And so how that began was my first marriage actually fell apart the same day that the UN went through this massive business transformation. And so I couldn't ignore, like, in my personal life and in my work life, in my inner life and my outer life, the end of codependence was really the theme. It was like everything has to change and you have to approach relationship from a completely different place. And it was terrifying. And all of this careful identity that I had created just in like a moment, literally the same moment, fell apart. And so since then, it's been this journey of recreation and rebirth. And that's how I got into coaching and how I really deepened my study of healing, the healing arts. Um, and then, of course, it was a long journey to embrace the idea of remarriage and becoming a mother. Um, but that was the next sort of cycle beginning for me as I really got clear that my time in the UN was ending was also the time that I embraced becoming a mother. And I got pregnant with my first child, my daughter, as I was beginning my last big project and sort of the capstone of my work there. And I like to think that she initiated me not only into motherhood, but also into creating life the way that I want it to be and not being, um, not just embracing identities or ways of being that had been handed to me, um, especially around security, because that's a big reason that a lot of people stay in organizations like the UN because of the security that it purports to offer. I think that's not always true. On some level, it is, but it became less and less aligned for me. And finally, I decided to leave after having my daughter. And I knew I was on a journey to become an entrepreneur, but I thought it was going to be a more gradual process. And so I took this other job, and that wasn't really working out. And I lost that job, which was actually a blessing, but also a crisis. I lost that job, and 2 days later, I found out I was pregnant with my son. And so, so there, like, if whatever part of security I wanted to hold on to was gone. And so the last, I would say, year has really been, because now he's 2 months old, has been this process of rebirth, um, and learning how to create my own inner security by coming home into my inner sanctuary. And, I think in a different chapter, that sequence of events would have led me right back into a, 9 to 5 job. But I had come to a place in my journey where getting pregnant, I could say, okay, this is happening for a reason. And it's not about going back to where I was before. It's about creating something new. And that's what I'm doing today from the center of home and myself, of centering my family life and being present for my kids and trusting that all of the other stuff will grow around that. Uh, and it's just delicious. Yeah.
Oh, it's such an amazing and yummy story. And yeah, introducing like when I introduced you, knowing that your son is 2 months old today, actually. So happy birthday. I just feel it's an important part of your life. It's an important journey.
I admire the courage in you. that you stay on the path that you were thinking about for some time. And sometimes we ask the universe, we ask for the help. I want to do it. I want to stay with the path within. And we don't know how it's going to happen, but the universe gave you the second baby to completely like cut you off from the old way of thinking, and you stay with it. That's why I admire the decision and that you stay with that. That
Mm,
is such an inspiring story for many of us.
thank you.
And
Yeah, it
trust
hasn't been
it.
without. Sorry, go
And
ahead.
no, and trust it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
breathe and trust it and allow it. And
And that is not easy because the financial fears and everything, it's creeping on at us all the time when we try to completely change the course of our life.
Yeah. So true. And it's not that it's been without fear, but I'm relating to the fear in a different way. Like for the first time, I think in my life, when it shows up, I'm approaching it with curiosity and sort of welcoming it, genuinely welcoming it. Okay, that's here you are. And how can we create together? Like how can you be also just part of what's present? Because there's a lot of fear in our world right now. There are real crises happening all around us, and so it's natural for people to feel afraid because we don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, we have visions, but we have to create it, right? And so I'm grateful to my children for giving me that motivation to create the future for them and for the wider world, and to not just keep my head in the sand, right? Because they're every day I look at them and they're the imperative for me to be more creative and figure out, how is this going to work? How am I going to create this life that's fulfilling for me, that gives them what they need, and that also serves the world, which is so much a part of my purpose. Yeah.
And
Mm.
it's beautiful. And don't you think like your children right now, they also keeping you, like they're creating this space to be present, to create
Oh
from a
yeah.
present moment, and from this unconditional love, they're like mirroring that purity of heart.
Yeah. It's so beautiful because they come in without any of the preconceived. I mean, of course, we come with our patterns, but they haven't been socialized yet. So they're just pure joy and pure presence and delight. Like the now my son is starting to smile, and it's so, yeah, pure is the word. Like, oh my gosh, look at you.
There's no reason to smile, but
He's
it's
smiling.
Yeah, well, and it feels good to be seen. I can see that that's part of it, right? That it's the first, I'm recognizing him, he's recognizing me without any mediation. Um, which is, I think, what we all want and yearn for, right? To be seen in our wholeness without having to hide parts of ourselves or have this sort of inner segregation. And even though he's at the beginning of his journey, and I know that he'll go through his own process of separation and reconstitution, um, in these moments, we get to really see each other in our wholeness. And that's what I want to then emanate out into the
we grew up totally in a different world, and I think like young mothers or grandmothers, um, if we are conscious about what is happening outside and inside, then we can definitely create for those babies, young kids, uh, different world, uh, just like more happier and joyful, and like you said, it's like we always feel the fear, but could be curiosity more than being afraid of life. So we grew up being afraid of life, most of us in this world. And right now, I see that often that young mothers, they are doing everything what is in their power to create curiosity more than anything else for those kids.
Yeah, that's certainly what I aspire to. And they make it easy because they're naturally curious, right? They're going through the world, and it's all about discovery and exploration. And that's another way that I'm actually learning from them, how to be in that place and how to suspend my judgments about what I think something is. Because as my daughter shows me every day, like the stories she tells and she just naturally makes up are, um, equally valid stories about what things are as the ones that I think I know more about. So it's really humbling. And yeah, I'm so grateful for the experience, really. Yeah.
It's like bringing you back to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
reconnecting with your inner child. Like I feel like you are going
Yeah.
through this powerful metamorphosis of coming, like what you expressed, what you shared in the beginning, coming back to your center, to your core, to the to reconnect to the essence that you are, right? And create
Yeah.
from that unity, from that space. And you're
Yeah.
beautiful. And your beautiful children are almost like every moment of every day they're holding your hands. They're almost like guiding you there.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
We
Yeah, it's interesting because as someone like many of us who develop expertise and get sort of cultured to think that that is who we are and that's our identity as an expert in this or that, and it's one of the things that keeps us in sort of a socialized mind. Um,
In the system.
I think, yeah, mothering is a chance to, like you said, go back to being that child who knows nothing and realize that that's actually the most powerful place that we can be in. Um, shedding those attachments has been really liberating for me.
And connecting deeper to that, loving yourself. You know, they almost like I see that they almost like reminding you how magical you are, and
Yeah.
to reconnect to that magic on a deeper level, and to embrace the self-love, self-care, self-acceptance. And it's such a gentle way to come home, Molly. On a soul level, I feel like you've chosen such a loving way.
Yeah. Thank you for seeing that and saying it.
Through an innocent, you know, through your children, this innocent love, the innocence. You chose the path of innocence.
Hmm.
This is why I mentioned that not we didn't grow up this way. I mean, maybe some people grew up this way. Um, to to being seeing like our parents were just more like 3D. I would
Hmm.
say when right now we're more open. The consciousness it's just evolving. I mean, we are evolving, so it's helping us to see through um, like different perspective. When my grandson born, I realized a few months after that he sees all the chakras, he sees all the colors, he sees totally what we all see when we come to this world, and later we just keep forgetting about it. So going back to it as a mother, father, it's or even grandparents. It's a beautiful way to, like Donica said, reconnect to the inner child within.
Yeah. Glad you brought up that 3D aspect too, because I think earlier in my spiritual journey, and especially as I was first learning how to access the Akashic Records and to access these higher dimensional states of consciousness, it was about leaving this body and going into these higher realms. And now the journey of motherhood has really been about actually being in this, like all the dimensions, but being in our 3D reality more fully present with all the aspects of consciousness present. But embracing and celebrating that we get to have bodies, we get to live this life. I get to change the diapers and feed the kids, and that's the path for me to gratitude also for the experience and not being in resentment that, oh, it's hard, because it is hard. That's also true. Um, but I think that that's really what this chapter for humanity is about, is to embrace our physical existence and like the body of earth, and um
Not
not be in
trying to
denial of that.
constantly
Escape.
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 Yeah. Or control or dominate. There's all of these unhealthy ways of being that we have collectively patterned for for millennia, for our whole existence. And I think now is this time of coming back to and really um, cherishing our physicality and the wisdom of our bodies. We need that to figure out where we're going next.
Spot on. So
Mhm.
talking about where we're going next, what's brewing and cooking in Molly's creative mind or heart, I would say, or in your creative energy? Like, how do how you work with people, and
Mm.
like what's creating, because I can feel, and I know you as well, that it's like a whole new chapter, new beginning, new transformative um, way of being. So would you
Yeah.
share with our audience, and actually I'm curious too, is like what's brewing in your cauldron?
Mm. Thank you for that question. Well, there's so many things in my I'm super Gemini, so I, want to have my hands in all different kinds of um, activities. But I think the thing that's really got the attention of my heart these days is this soul alchemy intensive, this journey that I've created for leaders in transition processes in a moment where they really need to go deep inside themselves. And I guide that process and bring together all of the different coaching and healing modalities that I have learned over the years to really accelerate those transformational moments. So the moments come to us, and then it's up to us how we want to meet them and what we want to do with them. And we can sort of let them work at their own pace, and then sometimes we need like an enzyme to come in and really catalyze the transformation, and that's sort of the role that I play for my clients in that process. um, so that brings me a lot of joy, and it's like really where my artistry comes out today, because it's full of meditations and rituals and ceremony, and then also bringing that back into your life and integrating, and how do you actually put into practice some of these like big and deep insights that come from ceremony. um, so I love doing that work, and I also work with clients in more of a traditional coaching format, and I do healing work with the Akashic Records and vortex healing. So I have a wide menu, and I'll share links to all of that, yeah, with you.
um you,
Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I just kind of want to like just summary for a lot of people right now are trying to figure out they don't want to stay at the corporate world. They are trying to just they don't want to just survive, but they want to have a life. So they're trying to find a way out and just live the life they want to live. And what you are saying today and sharing with us, it's such an empowering story that if we just set up the goal to be and to live the life we wanted to, the universe, however we call it, is going to bring us opportunities to do it. And you took all those opportunities and you are living your life right now.
Mm. Thank you for that reflection, Edyta. It's true, and I think that would be really my message to anyone listening today who's in that moment themselves about, um, do I stay or do I go? And this all of that fear shows up and gets amplified in the moment before we make a big decision to take that leap. And for me, the defining moment was really when I realized that the cost of staying inside that smaller um, space, that space, it just started to feel more and more confining and less hospitable. The cost is greater than the fear of leaping out, and and yet the world needs us to all be on our own journey and to really say, what do I want my life to be about, and what's going to bring me joy? And that's a question that I think, you know we can be a little bit scared of, but it's the most important question in our lives. So I want that for everyone.
That I have a question on that. um yes, that question, the scary question. How did you embrace that? We have a few more minutes, so I would just like want to go a little bit deeper. How did you, because you listened to that voice to that nudge, you know, and you kind of followed the steps and you just allowed it to transform you. But how did you?
Well, there were a lot of
What
tears.
was the last push?
What was the last push?
How did you? Oh, the word is coming dealt with, but it's not really the word. With that fear, you know, with the question, the fear. How did you, Molly, actually processed it or coped with it? Or
You know, I think the honest answer is that I lived in the resistance to the future that was emerging through me until it became these sort of like palpitations of things coming apart at the seams, and I just could no longer hold the old way anymore. And it was almost like organ rejection, or this sort of like um yeah, just the misalignment became so palpable that I had no choice but to embrace. That's how it felt to me, truly. Like, and then at that point, it was surrender. It was surrender and saying, okay, universe, like, I, I get it. The signals are very strong now. Like, help me to see the way forward. Help me, show me this path, because I don't, with my personality level thinking, I don't see the answer. So it must be coming from a higher place. And that's really where faith, I think my faith just deepened and got stronger than it's ever been before, because I had to give up my thinking mind trying to solve the problem.
especially being a Gemini,
Yes, that's
that
the
took a lot
strong
of
tendency.
that, that
And
took a lot of courage, right?
yeah, yeah, the higher self has to recruit the lower self for this purpose, right? And that's part of the alignment and the integration journey that I think we're all on.
Yes, thank you. Because I think it's that fear or like that question, how to do it. Yeah, I understand, you know, I understand the calling, I understand I'm not happy here, but how do I embrace like the tools, like any tools? What helped you like to move through, to embrace and surrender, to embrace the resistance and surrender? Like, would you just a minute or two share about any tool
Yeah.
modalities that you yourself implemented?
So I think the first thing is a willingness to be messy. Like, we have to be willing to come apart at the seams, and then we need a container to hold us in that. And I've leaned into my amazing network of healers and practitioners in lots of different modalities to find that containment and to access spaces where I can come apart. And you, Janita, have been one of those people for me, holding me in these moments of real disillusion. But we need safe places to do that. And that's one of the things that I try to do for my clients as well, to hold space for people, because we have the intelligence within ourselves, and everything that we do, whether it's coaching or Akashic Records or other forms of energy healing, it's all about helping us to access that wisdom within, right? But we need space to do that. So, you know, communing with nature even really is one of my daily practices, that I come back to myself by seeing and communing with the spirits all around us all the time. um, Meditation, prayer, affirmations, working with intention. In these moments where it gets really intense, we need to amplify our intention practice, right? And learn the power of affirmations to bring us into these new futures that we're really meant to experience.
Trusting and using our intuition.
Yeah.
The inner voice sometimes is
Listening.
so quiet.
Listening to the heart, really listening. Thank you
Mhm.
so much, Molly. Because I'm being nice to say this, because you're just a young mother, so like you really experienced the deep surrender to creating life through the body. So what I'm just wanted that question, I don't even know if you probably thought about that. Have you ever thought about working with mothers, young mothers, to assist them on bringing equilibrium, into their lives and become better women, better mothers, better, just bring that love and light and harmony.
Yeah, I feel that that's an emerging part of my calling for sure. I'm right now so in it for myself that I'm just like, soaking up all of the lessons and the experience. And I do see in time that becoming uh, a big part of my focus, because I think those of us who embrace the path of parenthood in this lifetime, we need more support than society offers us. And so often we get the message that, oh, well, you should keep your family life, your mothering sort of over here, and then your professional identity should be over there, and your relationship should be over here. And my quest is to how can we actually bring those into this harmonious relationship? And I think we need community for that. So I feel there's some kind of a group offering for me that's bubbling up. It hasn't taken form yet, but thank you for the nudge.
And I completely agree. We cannot separate, like,
It's
our
life.
our personal life from. That's why that should be one thing.
A big bubble.
Yeah. I mean, even as a new mother, I already know without a doubt that becoming a mother has been the greatest leadership education for me and will continue to be that way. So why we have these division, it becomes almost laughable.
Well, it's kind of like to keep us separate from ourselves and to because when we are unite all parts of ourselves and our lives, we're powerful.
Exactly.
And on this note, thank you so much, Molly. And I think I would love, if you're interested, to come again and where we can go deeper, delving into this unity of pieces of life or anything else that you would like to dive deeper in exploring.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this conversation today. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And that would be such a joy. So
That would be a joy. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone for listening, watching. And if you liked, please subscribe, please like. And if you have anything to say, send us any
yes.
comments. Please send us a message. Would love to hear it. And many blessings.
Many blessings.
many
Bye.
blessings.
Many blessings. Bye for now.
Bye.